Dolphins Vikings this week. What are you watching there?
I'm watching the quarterback position. Obviously, Tua's not going to play, but then also your backup, Teddy Bridgewater's out as well. So you're going to go with the rookie, Skylar Thompson. It looks like, at least based off of last week, Miami's not able to run their full offense with the rookie at quarterback. And so I think Miami's going to struggle because of rookie quarterback issues.
And then sneaky, fascinating matchup, Brooke Pryor. Ravens-Giants. What are we watching there?
Oh, I am watching Wink Martindale against his old team. And look, I know that Lamar Jackson is playing great. I know that the Ravens know Wink as much as Wink knows the Ravens. But here's the thing. I don't care how amicable the split is. You still want to show your ex that you're better off without them. So I think Wink's got some juice for his old team and for Greg Roman.
Well, that's a really interesting matchup to me here. Nico, help me with that one a little bit. What advantage is there? Wink Martindale, to make clear what Brooke is talking about, was the defensive coordinator in Baltimore for a really long time. And Alex, we can put the picks up there whenever you have a chance. But what advantage, if any, is there for the Giants that their defensive coordinator knows Lamar Jackson and that offense as well as anyone possibly can?
Well, you have a little bit of an advantage when it comes to just the things that affect them. When you can just look and go down a list of each player and say, okay, these are the things that they like, these are the things that they don't like, you could have a little bit of an advantage. But at the end of the day, it's all going to come down to execution and which team can go out there and execute at a high level and do that repeatedly. So I think I'm picking the Ravens in this particular matchup because the Giants, yes, they've done well, but have they played a team that we think is going to be a team at the end of the season that's going deep into the playoffs? The Ravens, obviously, with Lamar, I personally think they're going to be one of those teams. So it's going to be really hard for them to stop Lamar. You don't stop Lamar. He's that explosive. So how do you limit him? Listen, I'm not a DC, but I know it's going to be really tough.
No question about it. Now, again, they did just beat the Packers last week. I know there's a lot of split opinion on just how good the Packers are. And Rodgers, while an all-time great, is clearly, RC, a very different challenge than Lamar Jackson presents. But I see the Giants under your name as well. Why do you like the Giants?
Yeah. Well, one, I think the way that the Giants are playing offense, they're a team against the Baltimore Ravens that can find ways to score points, especially with Saquon Barkley being as explosive as he is and Brian Daboll doing the best he can to work pieces around what is an underwhelming wide receiver group. But I'm going to go to the defense. Here's what's first. When you're Wink Martindale, you spent the last years in training camp playing against Lamar Jackson, game planning against Lamar Jackson, having conversations with Greg Roman about how they want to use Lamar Jackson, how you would attack him, doing some of those scout things. Here's the other thing. Daniel Jones just runs the ball all the time, too. We're not acting like Daniel Jones is a guy that doesn't do the zone read and doesn't utilize it. So you're also practicing against it each and every day in training camp now with the New York Giants. Is Daniel Jones what Lamar Jackson is from a talent level, from an accomplishment level, from a success level? Absolutely not. But the styles of play are similar. So the New York Giants as players, some of the similar things they'll see this weekend. Also, Wink Martindale understands how to maneuver, how to put pressure in the face of Lamar Jackson, how to get the football out of his hands and make him get into his playmakers very early. So I'm excited to see how they adjust defensively if you're the New York Giants, and then what Saquon Barkley can do to loosen up the back end of the Baltimore Ravens and give Daniel Jones some opportunities outside.
You know, Sacho, I'm not sure I've ever seen a more confused fan base. I live here in New York, of course, and as I walk around the streets, I got Giant fans walking up to me all the time saying, hey, are we any good? Like, they can't make up their own minds. The Giants are 4-1. I've never seen a 4-1 fan base as confused as the Giant fans are because they're surprised. How good is this team?
This team is good. This team is good. It goes to that defense. You have to point to that defense, what Wink Martindale is doing. He's bringing a dominant, physical, attacking version of defense to New York. But it's not just that. I think the Brian Daboll effect is even the bigger reason. People are saying Coach of the Year, and they're right. Brian Daboll has tailored this offense to Daniel Jones' strengths. There were so many question marks about Daniel Jones, all these things. And all of a sudden he's saying, hey, let's not turn the ball over. Let's protect you in the pocket. Let's do things where, like I did with Josh Allen, where there were question marks early on. Now all of a sudden it's like, wow, you're managing the game we want you to manage. And then, oh, by the way, Saquon Barkley is healthy. And so you get all those pieces together, you eliminate the mistakes. Now you've got a team that's being coached by a guy who knows how to win, an offensive line that's significantly better, some guys who were brought over from Buffalo. Now you're starting to win games. So this team is not a fluke. The 4-1 record is not an accident. They were playing banged up last week. A lot of their starting receivers didn't travel, and they still won. And they won because their defense.
And yet you like Baltimore in this one, and you like the Giants, Brooke. Why?
I do, because coaching matters. Because not only does Wink Martindale have this edge with the defense, I think, I also really like what Brian Daboll's done, and I think you're seeing the way that his players are responding. And Isaiah McKenzie, who played with him in Buffalo, was talking to our good friend Elena Getzenberg, the Bills reporter, and he told her that Daboll's a guy who he holds you accountable, but he doesn't dress you down. He's not screaming at you. He's a guy that players want to play for. He's known for these just random FaceTimes. He has guys over at his house, and I think there's a huge buy-in. I mean, did you see the dancing in the locker room? I think, maybe if the Giants win, we'll see Wink dancing in there with him. But to me, coaching is the difference in this one. And also, to your point, I do think that the Giants are a good team, but I also saw the Steelers go undefeated for a while in 2020, right? So it could be a little bit of a mirage.
Yeah, I had a cup of tea in Buffalo. I spent a little bit of time in Buffalo towards the end of my career, and one of the few guys I connected with was Brian Daboll. You know, everyone knows the pregame meals night before the game. You're sitting down with your teammates and your friends and some coaches. I didn't know a lot of guys on that team. He was one of the dudes who literally sat down, asked about me, my wife, our kids, figuring out schools, all that kind of stuff. Right? Cool story. I ended up finishing up with Tampa Bay. Brian Daboll gets the job for the New York Giants. We exchanged numbers, whatever. I just text him saying, hey, congrats. Seconds later, I get a response. Seconds later, I played for 2 weeks with the dude, yet he's responding. So for me, the character of Brian Daboll is what brings out the best in his players. Players understand guys they want to play for. He is that dude.
Did you just say cup of tea instead of cup of coffee? I mean, the expression is I had a cup of coffee in Buffalo.
I had too many cups. Most of my career was about 4 years here, 4 years there. That's a little cup. I don't drink coffee.
To what Philadelphia does? No. Philadelphia got to adapt to what we do. We get after the quarterback. We have linebackers that run sideline to sideline. We have a shutdown corner on the outside. We got 3 safeties that move all around and play high-level ball. This is what DeMarcus Lawrence should be thinking. It's what Michael Parsons is thinking. It's what Trayvon Diggs is thinking. And when they step up on the fields and when they get into stadiums, they said yesterday they are looking at the 85 Bears. They're looking at the 2000 Baltimore Ravens. They're looking at the 2002 Buccaneers team. And they're talking to Dan Quinn about how these shutdown defenses took teams to Super Bowls. And that's what's different about this Cowboys team. It's not about the glitz and the glamour and the money that's on the offense. It's about the young guns and the guys that are hunting defensively. And I love this outlook from DeMarcus Lawrence. Now, when you talk about it, you got to be about it. You got to go out there and back it up. And you can believe that Jalen Hurts, who was a guy who we saw last week and talking about the Arizona Cardinals, make sure the Arizona Cardinals were mentioned in what they could present in competition or opposition of the Philadelphia Eagles. So he plays the game a different way, media-wise. But D-Law plays it how they played at the Dallas Cowboys. He plays it how they played at the White House. He's saying, we're right here, we're front and center, you got to come see us, and I love it.
Brooke Pryor, what do you think?
I think DeMarcus Lawrence just went to Walmart, bought a big poster board and got the paint and just like did some arts and crafts himself. I mean, what more do you need if you're Philadelphia, if you're Jalen Hurts to hear that and say, oh, you don't believe in me? Okay, fine. But look, I mean, this is a really good Dallas defense. I agree with the crux of what he's saying. I would not have said it that way. But look, this defense, they beat Stafford, they beat Burrow. Even Tom Brady didn't look good. This is, I think, Jalen Hurts' best case to show that he is a legitimate, more, not maybe top tier quarterback, but he is right there. He is knocking on the door of that next level. To me, it says, you know what, this 5-0 start wasn't a fluke. Look at how I did against one of the league's best defenses.
What do you think, Nico?
I think Jason Kelce is going to walk into the offensive line room. He's going to put up on the chalkboard exactly what Lawrence said. He's going to say, listen, this is the guy that we need to get after. We're going to have to smear him in the ground. Whatever we got to do, we got to get after this defense. Because this is almost like the lead up to a big fight, you know, a UFC or a boxing fight. There's going to be some back and forth. But just like what RC was talking about, if you talk this way, you got to be able to back it up. So we're going to find out who the better team is. And I don't think either of these teams have faced a defense or an offense as potent. So it's going to be an awesome.
Like with a groin injury. So for me, if I'm DeMarcus Lawrence,